Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here today. Whether you're listening while walking, cooking, or just relaxing, this is your moment to enjoy English in a calm and simple way. So, let's dive into another story about the language we use every single day. It began on the quietest of afternoons. The streets outside were empty, and the air smelled like rain that had not yet fallen. I carried only a notebook and a cup of lukewarm coffee when I noticed a shop I had never seen before. The sign above the door was old, carved into wood, and read, "Timeless Pages." Something about it pulled me closer. The shop smelled of dust and ink. Shelves reached the ceiling, stacked with books whose titles were too faded to read. At the back of the room sat an object that looked out of place. A glowing clock, humming softly. I reached out, touched its surface, and the ground vanished beneath me. My body flew through a tunnel of light. My hands reached for nothing, my eyes squeezed shut. Then, as suddenly as it began, the motion stopped. I was no longer in the shop. I opened my eyes to blazing sunlight. Sand stretched in every direction. Before me stood the pyramids of Egypt, tall and eternal. People around me wore simple linen clothes. Some carried heavy stones, others traded goods. Children splashed in the Nile, their laughter mixing with the call of animals. A tall man noticed me. He pointed at the sun and spoke words in ancient Egyptian. I didn't understand a single sound, yet I could sense his meaning. He was telling me the time of day. I smiled and pointed at the sky too. He laughed, patting me on the back before walking away. I wandered into the marketplace. The air was alive with smells: fresh bread, dried fish, burning incense. People bartered with gestures and tone. I realized something important. Language is not only words. It is hands moving, eyes shining, voices rising and falling. A little boy offered me dates from a basket. I didn't know how to ask the price, so I simply pointed at my chest and smiled. He gave me a handful for free, his eyes bright. In that moment, I learned the first lesson of my journey. Communication begins with connection, not grammar. When the glowing clock in my pocket warmed, I touched it again. The sand vanished. Cold air hit me. I stood in a foggy forest. In the distance, bells rang. A small village appeared, its stone houses clustered around a church. Smoke rose from chimneys, and muddy streets carried the smell of animals. I entered a tavern. Inside, people drank from wooden cups. They spoke in rough English, so different from the words I knew. Still, I caught fragments. Bread, ale, friend. I sat quietly, listening. At first, it was noise, but as minutes passed, patterns began to form. Words repeated. Laughter followed certain phrases. I realized that listening, real listening, is the doorway to understanding. An old man raised his cup toward me. "Stranger," he said, "you listen well." The others cheered. My silence had not made me invisible. It had made me attentive. In their songs and stories, I heard the rhythm of the language. It was music, not just speech. Another lesson revealed itself. Before we speak, we must learn to listen. When the tavern grew louder, the clock glowed again. The world spun. This time, I landed in a place filled with color and light. It was a Renaissance square, alive with painters, musicians, and merchants. Marble statues lined the streets, and the sound of violins floated through the air. A young artist sketched on parchment. I leaned closer. He looked up and asked, Do you understand beauty? I hesitated. How could I answer? Beauty was in his lines, in the colors, in the way the people admired his work. I nodded and said softly, Yes, beauty speaks every language. He smiled and handed me a piece of charcoal. I drew a simple figure, awkward and crooked. People laughed, but kindly. They corrected me, showing me techniques. I noticed something powerful. Mistakes invited help, not rejection. Speaking, drawing, trying. Imperfection was the path to learning. As I watched scholars debating, I saw language alive in ideas, in questions, in curiosity. The Renaissance whispered its third lesson. Do not fear mistakes. They are bridges to knowledge. The clock pulsed with light once more. I pressed it, and the square dissolved. I gasped. Before me stood a city of glass towers and floating vehicles. Roads glowed with neon lights, and screens shimmered in the air. Children played with holograms. Adults wore wristbands projecting images and voices. I spoke, but many around me didn't reply with words. They used images, symbols, and instant translations. A woman approached, smiling. She tapped her wristband, and suddenly my words appeared in her language on a holographic screen. Her reply transformed instantly into English for me to read. In our time, she said, technology connects us instantly. But still, the most important part is not the machine. It is the heart of the speaker. I watched students learning languages through immersive games. I saw travelers speaking freely without fear of mistakes. The future revealed its final lesson. Technology can help, but human connection will always be the center of communication. The clock glowed so brightly it blinded me. My journey was ending. I landed back in the bookstore. The shelves were the same, but the glowing clock was gone. Outside, rain finally fell. I stood still, my notebook in hand, my coffee long cold. The lessons of time echoed in my mind. From the ancient world, language is more than words. From the medieval village, listening is the key to understanding. From the Renaissance, mistakes are bridges, not barriers. From the industrial city, speaking, even imperfectly, opens doors. From the future, technology helps, but connection matters most. I walked into the rain with a smile. I had not only traveled through time, but also through the heart of language itself. And perhaps, the next time I speak, listen, or write, I will be carrying pieces of every age with me. Because language, like time, is endless. And every word is a step in the journey. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this little journey through time, make sure to stick around for more stories about English, because every word has a secret past waiting to be discovered. Until next time, keep learning, keep smiling, and I'll see you in the next episode.